Welcome to episode 10 of today's Candor. I'm your host, Barika. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to tune in. In this episode, I feel like it might be slightly twofold, where I'll speak a little on the power of discernment, but I might also do a part two of that. I'll see. I haven't made that final call, but I feel like this episode will focus more on something that's always existed, but here lately, for some reason, I've been seeing more of it, if you will, or just seem like I've been catching more of it. And that is, of course, this world we live in. Of course, there's always been sneaky people, shady people, mischievous people, whatever you want to refer to them as. But I feel like I'm trying to figure out why people think that they can bamboozle and finesse the universe and get away with it. And let me start off with two things, or a few things. No matter what your beliefs are, no matter what you believe in, no matter what you refer to a higher being as, whether you're religious or spiritual, whether you don't believe in it at all, you don't have to believe in karma. It's going to come back around. And that's good and bad. Karma goes both ways. It's coming back around. But these people out here who think that they can play the game of trickery with karma, it's baffling to me. And I have seen so much of it everywhere. I see so much of it at my job, and I'm sick of it. I am. And by the grace of God, I was able to get a slickster, if you will, off my plate most recently. And I am beyond grateful for that. Because when you're toxic, I don't want you near me. That's a character flaw, and you have to get away from me. And that's to me, that's more than a flaw. That's a deal breaker. So I'm so glad that that individual at my job is off my plate, because I can't. I won't. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Like I said, whether you believe in karma or not, you reap what you sow, good and bad. Stop playing with people. Stop trying to finesse everyone and everything. Stop trying to get and squeeze everything out of somebody. I don't understand. And the reason I'm saying this is because sometimes I don't think people, and this is where I'm saying sometimes that discernment comes in. What people don't get, yes, we are all going to go through a hard time, a hardship. Stuff is going to happen to everyone. Because no matter how well you might plan, obstacles are going to be thrown at you. There are things that are uncontrollable in life that are inevitable. So I'm not speaking on those things. But when people keep having things happen to them, negative things happen to them, and they want to refer to it as happenstance, that's not happenstance. That's your bad karma coming back around to let you know it doesn't discriminate. Hi, hello, I'm here to give you back what you've put out. Everything isn't happenstance. And it's not about being perfect, because of course none of us are, but it's about just choosing to do the right thing. I don't understand what's so difficult about it. Once again, it's not about being perfect. We've all hurt somebody. We've all made mistakes. But making a mistake and then being able to acknowledge that, okay, you know what? I shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't move like that. That's a total difference from just being a nasty, trifling person. And the reason I am pointing this out is because, one, I've had to learn this lesson. I've had to mention this to people I know about being able to have that discernment where you understand that you have to stop saving people. I had to have this conversation with a very close friend of mine. Helping people and saving them from their bad karma, two different things. And if your discernment is not up, you have to work on that. So when I say that it's not about being perfect and being able to just say, you know what, this is the right thing to do, this is what I should be doing, it's because you have to be able to, even if it's not about being the bigger person necessarily, sometimes it's like, you know what? Right now, I know the right thing is not going to come out of my mouth. So let me take a step back. Because it's being able to understand that your 2 cents is not, it's not always welcome. It's not needed. And then choosing to do right by the people who do right by you. That's something else I don't understand, why it's so difficult for people to just say, you know what, this person is good to me. Let me be good to them. Why do people have to try to figure that out like it's some rocket science or an equation? Stop trying to finesse people. Stop trying to hoodwink people. It's unnecessary. It's bad energy. It's toxic. So this concept of saving people when you need to allow them to go through and receive the karma, receive what they've put out, to reap what they've sown, you have to be able to say, you know what? This person is going through all of that mess they're going through, not by happenstance, not because they're just going through it. No, they got a lot of stuff with them and they refuse to cut it out because they don't know another way to live besides always finessing and hoodwinking somebody. You can be helpful. You can be giving. You can be loving. You can be all of those things. That's not saving someone from themselves and their foolery. And you may ask, well, how am I supposed to know the difference between I'm just helping someone and when I'm doing too much and I may be saving them? You will know. Because when you see that the universe is giving them a dose of their own medicine, when you know that person has put out nothing but ignorance and has damaged people and hurt people, they're getting that in return. Don't save them from themselves. As a matter of fact, you might want to hurry up and remove yourself from that person. Because as we know, karma doesn't just come back to you. It comes back to your loved ones, your friends, people you associate with. And that's why you also have to be careful. Because if you really love these people and you care for these people around you, it goes two ways. There's two things to this, right? You choose to do the right thing because it's what you're supposed to do. That's your integrity. Who you are when no one is watching or listening, right? That's really the person you are. When no one is watching you and when no one is listening to what you're saying, that's the person you are. So it's being able to choose the right thing to do, having some integrity, but it's also saying, you know what? I also don't want my loved ones and my friends and anyone that I may care about to catch this bad karma because I'm out here finessing everything and everybody. But people don't think about that because that would cause for you to be selfless. So that's the small part I wanted to speak on about just having discernment, about how should you know when to stop being so helpful. And like I said, I've had to learn this lesson because there was a time where I was too giving, too loving, too helpful. And I know that sounds crazy because we should never have to dim that part of ourselves. But what I like to say is it's not necessarily dimming that part. It's knowing who deserves it. So it's not that you're changing that part of you. It's knowing who you should give that to, who deserves that part of you, who deserves that version of you. So it's not to say that you become angry and bitter and mad at the world. It's that you understand there are certain people who don't deserve it and there are others who do. And I can guarantee you there are going to be less people who deserve it than those who don't. I promise you that. So it's not about changing who you are. It's not about, I know we say that we have no faith in humanity. I get it, but it's being able to have the faith in the ones who you know deserve your love and your giving ways and your helpful ways. Everyone doesn't deserve it. Everyone doesn't deserve a benefit of the doubt. And once you try me too many times, my grace with you, my empathy, that goes out the window. Once I see that you're always trying to get by and finesse me, you're not going to do it but so many times, I promise you, because I'm going to nip it in the bud. But once I see that that's your character, and this wasn't just it was a mistake. It was, hey, I was having a bad day. It was, hey, I was going through a hard time. Once I find out that's who you are, I wash my hands of you. There is no grace and there is no empathy. Because if you're a snake, I don't know what else you're up to. I don't want to know what else you're up to. So it took me some time to learn this lesson. And I've gone through my pain with people, and I've had to learn my lesson the hard way, if you will. And it may not have been always like a person directly hurting me. It might have just been attaching yourself in a certain way and doing certain favors for them, that then the outcome, it wasn't them literally doing something to you, but the outcome might be something that you weren't expecting. And it's like, how can you do this if I've put so much trust into you and so much love and I thought you respected me? So it's just, we go through these things so we can learn the lesson, and that's fine. And when you don't learn the lesson, that's when you continue to get your butt kicked. And that's hard. That's tough. But when you find that, and this isn't about just, this is any type of connection that you have with people. So when you find that there's anyone around you who you feel like they are taking advantage, just using you, or just toxic ways, and like I said, always trying to finesse something, I can't stand a person who thinks that they are a slickster. You're not slick. Okay? Because I thought part of being slick is that you don't get caught in your foolishness. But these people who think that they're slick and can get away with everything and always trying to bamboozle something in somebody, I'm like, why do you even want to live like that? You're toxic and mischievous, and I'm tired. And what people don't understand, it's not always about taking something personal, because if you're that type of person, that's how you're treating people around you regardless. So it's not about me taking it personal. I just don't want you around me. That goes for my personal life and at work. So we have to be comfortable. You have to get comfortable with being able to detach from people when you see these ways in them. When you see that there is something else going on. It's not just, hey, this person needed help with this situation because they're in a hardship. When you see that this is just how they move, this is how they navigate through life. Oh, you're not going to stress me out because your decisions are haywire and you're sneaky in everything you do. One, I don't want to be a part of it, and I surely don't want to be a part of your bad karma. So you have to be able to detach from people. That's not just detaching physically, but everything. Mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Because if you were attached to that person all those ways, how will you just detach in one form? That wouldn't make sense. So you have to come away 110%. Remove these people from your world. And that's anybody, any form of a relationship. Remove these people from your world. Remove yourself from the situation. And I live by principles. So the thing that person might actually do, yes, that might shock me. But what's really mind-blowing for me is that the person's mind could go to a place to be that shady, to be that nasty. That's that for me. Because if you feel like you can get away with certain things, I don't know what else you're up to. So that's the part for me. It's the fact that you wanted to get away with it. See, it's those people who are like, I'm going to do whatever. And, you have the desire to get away with something. When you have a desire like that, your mind works in a total different way. And I don't want you around me, because now we have a trust issue. And once again, I don't want to be the recipient of your bad karma. So being able to have a certain level of discernment, one, it cuts out so much stress and BS in your world. It absolutely does. My life is drama-free. I have none of it. I have zero drama in my life. I'm grateful. It will remain that way. I've never been a drama-filled person. You won't do it around me. It's something, it just burns my soul up. But when you have a certain level of discernment and you start to trust your gut, you start to trust your instinct, it will cut out so much mess in your world because you won't even have to figure it out or think twice. You'll just be able to say, nope, that throws me off. When your gut is thrown off, when you have to question and second guess, something's up automatically. Be able to trust yourself. Be able to have that level of discernment. You can't always take people for face value. Just like we said, you can't judge a book by its cover. You absolutely can't. And you have to be able to read into people. You have to be able to understand, okay, I'm seeing this in a person and it wasn't a one-time thing. What's going on with that? What's up with that? Be observant. Do less talking. And I feel like people are so quick to call children and teenagers mischievous. And yes, there are some of them running around for sure. But sometimes it's just because they're not fully developed and we are trying to correct and discipline them and nip these behaviors in the bud. And I'm like, yes, there are definitely some mischievous children and teens out here for sure, especially this generation that has no regard for anyone. But I'm like, these adults, they're mischievous and walking around with all of these wild behaviors that they're choosing to unlearn. When a person tells you, this is just how I am, this is just the way I am, this is just how I do things, you keep doing those things just like that, far away from me. When a person talks like that, they don't even want to try to unlearn those behaviors. That's the part that gets on my nerves. We have all been through something. Some people more extreme than others. Some people have witnessed or either experienced very traumatic times. So we're not talking about someone who is willing to unlearn a behavior, who has said, you know what, this is how I was raised. This is what I saw when I was being raised, but I want to unlearn it. That's different. And it's not going to happen overnight. But the person who, this is just how I am, that's just the way it is. You're right. Right over there. Get comfortable getting away from these type of people. It's too many of them in the world. And some of them sit right next to you every day. Some of them you talk to every day. Leave people where they are. Leave people where they are. When you notice there's too much going on, that person has too much drama, everything is an argument, everything is rowdy, everything is always upside down, and you don't have any of that in your world, you need to make a decision. Whether it's because it's a friend or whoever else you might be close to, that's not good for you. If you are the total opposite of that, like I said, my life is drama-free. I'm proud to say it. I'm grateful for it, but it's also a decision. Because anybody who knows me well enough knows I'm not going to do it. They know not to even bring it to me. Because one, I'm going to have something to say about it. And two, I'm not allowing it. And once people know what they can and can't get away with you, you also start to see how people move with you. Because people know who they can play with. People absolutely know who they can play with. People know who they can finesse. So I'll end this episode there. I'll see, like I said, I'll see if I want to do like a part 2 where it's just talking about like the power of discernment, more in depth and fleshing that out and really going into working on your discernment if it's something that is not your strong suit. Because I absolutely believe that it's something that everyone needs to have. Everyone needs to be able to trust their gut. Everyone needs to be able to say, this is good and this is not good for me. And being able to read into people, read into energy, read into vibes, it's huge. Because like I said, it can save you from so much. It can either take you to a great place and it can also save you from craziness that you don't belong in. But you have to be comfortable with doing so. So that may be another episode. As always, thank you so much for continuing to follow, like, and share the podcast. The podcast can be found on all major platforms, wherever you listen to your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, and so on. Please continue to follow, like, and share. And until next time, stay safe and stay candid.